Welcome once again to another episode of ATVision, part of the Moose Racing ITP Tires ATV Motocross Championship. This, the ATV Stampede at Steel City in Delmont, Pennsylvania, just next to Pittsburgh. Memorial Day weekend, we'll race at Steel City on the ATVs. We'll come back on Labor Day weekend for the bikes. Fans out here in Western PA love it either way, especially with this hot championship chase between the Suzuki teammates of Josh Kramer and Dustin Wimmer, mixed in with young hopefuls like Thomas Brown and Josh Upperman, and the always potent Motoworks Can-Am team of John Natale, Chad Wienen, and the rest. Let's set the stage for Moto 1. Jason Wygant going to be your host, and Crystal Watson, of course, down in the pits doing heavy lifting, just like the riders are at their starting gates. Dustin Wimmer would capture the $100 ATVRiders.com Fast Qualifier Award, and then everyone would settle in behind their gates for the uphill left-hand first turn here at Steel City. AMA Pro Racing's Hard Whipple gives a signal. Let's go. Another hole shot for Upperman on the Baldwin Motorsports PEB Honda. The number 20 has been a familiar sight out front. He has another $250 in his pocket from MotorcycleUSA.com. But soon a challenge from the Ironman, John Natale, the number 13. Thomas Brown was up to the number 3 spot on his Yamaha early, while Wimmer and Kramer, the two series leaders, were buried in the pack. All that keeping the momentum up on the long, flowing uphill sections like this, the Sky Coaster at Steel City. Lots of jumps out here, really testing the riders' technical abilities. And Natale was soon all over the leader, Upperman. Battling his way through the pack, the number 1 of Wimmer. He was hooked up right behind the number 9 of his teammate Kramer, and they would follow each other through, but they were a long way back from this 3-rider breakaway, with Brown, Natale, and Upperman still holding 32 and 1 on the track. Then a disaster. Upperman's bike breaks while he's leading, handing the lead over to the Pennsylvania native Natale, and he was skying out front. The fans were definitely happy to see the 2005 AMA ATV Motocross champ back in familiar turf. The first place position. But Brown, the youngster, was not going to give up, and he continued to give Natale a run, while the Suzuki boys continued to fight their way through traffic. Here, the number 9 of Kramer makes the move on Nick DeNoble out of Wisconsin to take over the number 4 position. Now, Brown goes to work on Natale on the uphill jumps at Steel City. Fans were loving this action. Look at Brown braking hard to the inside. I don't know how he held that line. Natale saw it coming and fought right back. Spectacular action for the lead at the ATV Stampede, and it wasn't over yet. Soon, these two would be joined by Kramer, who had come from way back to make it a 3-rider dance for the number 1 spot. Motoworks Can-Am people were pumped. They wanted to see Natale take the win, but how much pressure could he take? Kramer makes the move on Brown and take over second, and now goes after Natale for the lead. The man from Connecticut goes to the inside, finds a new line, but Natale able to hold him off. Kramer again showing wheels to Natale, and this time is able to bust through and take over the number 1 spot. An unbelievable come-from-behind charge by a man who has been on fire ever since he got on Suzuki this year. And that was all she wrote. Once Kramer had the lead, he was able to maintain that torrid pace that took him to the number 1 spot and pull away from the Natale and Brown battle for second and third. Brown finally taking that spot away from Natale, who would eventually come under pressure from 2-time defending series champ Dustin Wimmer. But the real story was up front. Josh Kramer won this race last year on a Kawasaki, and he wins Moto 1 on a Suzuki. A nice solid run for Thomas Brown in second, and watch this. A drag race to the finish. Around the outside, Wimmer takes third away from Natale at the stripe. And that was all Wimmer had. It was hot and humid and rough out there at Steel City. These guys definitely earned their podium positions in Moto number 1. If you're going to play hard, you got to work hard. Teams and riders putting in the elbow grease in the pits to make sure they were ready to race in Moto number 2. Josh Kramer looking for his 3rd overall of the season, but he would have to put it together in the second moto. And Wimmer with also a strong come-from-behind ride, and Thomas Brown, second in that first moto, definitely had the opportunity to upset Creamer in this one if something were to go wrong. Let's see what happens. How about the rookie Cody Gibson, who you probably remember from last year's shows as a contender in the Pro-Am class. Welcome to the big boys, $250 from MotorcycleUSA.com, but he quickly loses a spot to this trio. Greg G in the lead, Thomas Brown wants it. Nice job by G to fight back, and you see Creamer is already up to third. A much better start in this one. Gibson in fourth, and our first Chad Wienen sighting the day in fifth. A little bit further back is Wimmer, who got stuck in the gate at the beginning of this moto. Had even more work to do in Moto 2. He did after that come from behind run in Moto 1. Thomas Brown wants an overall. He gets the lead from G and tries to take off from Creamer. Creamer sure looked relaxed back there in the number 2 position. He's biding his time and going after the number 94 Yamaha rider. Here's your battle for the lead, and it's also the battle for the overall. Right now, Thomas Brown is looking at a 2-1 overall win situation. The guys were battling hard all over the track as Wimmer tried to make up ground and close in on these two. And there might have been an opportunity to tangle wheels and take each other. Creamer, who's now an established veteran of the Tour, was smart. He picked his spots and found his lines, and he made a clean pass on Brown to get into the lead. And that would be good enough to give it the win. Look at the style of Josh Creamer, just on fire. Something about Steel City and Josh Creamer works like no one else. Late in the race, Creamer was gone. He was going to go 1-1 and get the series points lead back. The real question was, how far forward could his championship rival and teammate Dustin Wimmer get? Could he catch Thomas Brown, or would he give up a few more points to Creamer? Here's Brown holding down second. And here's Creamer just flying out front. In this shot, you got your first glimpse of the yellow machine of Wimmer in third, beginning to close the gap. And as tired as he looked after Moto 1, he dug down even deeper in Moto 2 to try to get those valuable championship points. A little mistake there from Creamer. He's not happy with that. Don't worry. You got a nice lead built up. You don't have to worry about little mistakes. Wimmer catching some dust from Brown here, but he just kept digging and digging and digging. It looked like Brown had that number 2 position in hand. Not quite. Wimmer wanted to make it a Suzuki 1-2 show on this day, and here he comes. His battle for second would come right down to the 2-lap board with 3 laps to go. Brown holds down the number 2 spot, but Wimmer has come from so far back, he was not going to be denied, and he takes over that number 2 position. Look at Brown continuing to fight and try to get him back, to no avail. Still valuable experience running the pace up front late in the motos for Thomas Brown. So far in 2010, no one has an answer for the Suzuki juggernaut. You see how close Wimmer got. Hadn't gotten stuck in that gate at the beginning of this one, he might have had something for his teammate in a battle for the moto win. Too little, too late, though. Josh Creamer goes 1-1 at Steel City. Thomas Brown on the podium again. So congrats all around. Enjoy our rock star, Josh. You've earned it. Wienen and Natali round out the top 5. Natali and Nick DeNoble in the top 5 overall. Let's go down to the podium with Krista.
Josh, you never failed to disappoint. You're having such a fantastic season. Tell us what happened out there.
Things are going awesome. First moto, we didn't get off to the best of starts. Got bumped around quite a bit, but put my head down. I think we came out 13th, ended up winning. So I couldn't be happier with that. And then second moto, I think we came out like 4th. Made a few quick passes, got myself out front. Really got to say thanks to Tire Balls. I got a flat tire out there, but they kept me going. I kept it out front and took the overall, took the points lead back, and put another win under my belt for the season.
You might have noticed Creamer pointing at his rear tire when he came across the finish. That second moto win is the difference. He now has a 3-point lead over his teammate. Our next Motosode, your questions and the riders' answers to them. Tune in for that. Our next race, legendary Millville, Minnesota on June 12th and 13th. Be there. ATVmotocross.com for more info on the series. For Krista Watson, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching.